Hi there. In this screencast, we'll use QuickBooks to create budgets, we'll report against the budgets, and we'll update a budget. So I'm just going to fire up QuickBooks here. I've got a shortcut on my taskbar. I'm not going to bother installing the update. In real life I would. This is an educational version of the software. Sometimes that creates problems. Takes a minute, and it is opening the last company I worked with. And again, this warning is because this is the educational version of the software. I'm going to ignore it. In real life I would investigate. And again, I have my view set up. If you want to make your view match mine, again, my view is top icon bar, one window, and open window list, so I can toggle between the open windows. So to set up budgets, you go to the company menu, and then budget and planning and budgeting, and set up budgets. And again, this data is for this company is back in 2016. So I'll just page that back to 2016. And notice that we can budget for not only income and expense, but also liabilities and assets. I guess in case you're planning on buying a building or more vehicles or something like that. So I'll choose 2016 is good. I'll choose next. I'm not going to budget for jobs quite yet. I'm not sure. We may look at that when we look at jobs. And next. And generally a good way to create a new budget is based on the previous year's actual data, and then maybe add 10 or 15%, or depending on how ambitious your growth is. But I'm going to create this budget from scratch. And I'll finish. I'm just going to budget 2 accounts, but notice that it shows all of your income and expense accounts here, and then you can add all of the budgets across the year for all of those accounts, as opposed to other accounting software packages where you have to actually visit each account via the chart of accounts and add the budgets there. So basically we get a tabular view as opposed to a record view. So we're going to budget merchandise sales, $20,000 a month. That basically equals $1,000 in revenue per day, 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month. So that's a good place to start as well if you're a retail shop. So merchandise sales, and I'm going to enter 20,000. So I enter 20,000, and I don't tab out of the field. Instead, I stay in the field, and I choose copy across. So you have to be in the field that you want to copy. It can't be in a blank field, because of course it won't copy anything. So I choose copy across, and that'll copy from the point I was at through to the rest of the year. For example, if you expect your sales to be a little larger in May, for example, I'll enter 25,000, and I choose copy across. It copies across from that point forward. So that's a nice little feature. I'm just going to go back to January and copy across. Puts them all back to 20,000. And service sales I'll also budget for. I'm going to type in 1,600 and copy across. So of course, once you have a budget, and the reason that we create budgets is so that we can compare our budgeted goals to our actuals. So we have a category in our reports where we can compare those figures. So I'm going to finish with this budget. I'll just choose OK. Saves the budget. And then if I go to reports, budget and forecast, These aren't alphabetical lists. And I want to look at budget versus actual. My favorite report when comparing, of course. There's the budget we just created. It's the only one that exists, so it's the only one in this list. And I choose next. And I'm just going to choose next here as well, but notice your options, and we only have the one option. And finish. So it only shows us the income accounts that we actually budgeted for. Basically only the income accounts that we have data for. So we're over budget for January. So we can adjust our budget to be a little bit more ambitious here. And we're under budget for our service sales. So we could adjust our budget so it's more realistic, or throw some marketing dollars at service sales, which is a better idea. There's a couple of other reports as well. So if I choose reports, budget and forecast, and then budget overview, it'll basically just show us a report of the budget we created. And I want to look at the budget just for the 3 months we actually have data for. Imagine that we're back in 2016, March of 2016. So the first quarter. And I'll refresh. So there's our budget. Again, it just shows us the accounts that we actually entered values for. Any accounts that we didn't budget for aren't on the budget report, budget overview report, I should say. And we also have a graph. The graphs aren't so pretty in QuickBooks. I always advocate that you export your data using that, and then create a report in Excel. And again, dates. We'll go back to, it looks like we have only this and last year, so we're in 2020 right now. The data we have is for 2016, so we want to actually be able to see this at all. So again, you would be, you're limited here. The only way you're going to get a graph is by exporting your data. Alright, so we can also adjust our budget, of course. We can change it at any time. Nothing we did there was set in stone. I'm just going to close all of these reports, and I'll go back to my budget. Same place we went to create it. There's where we choose. We only have the one budget, that's why it's snapped to this one. But if it didn't, it would have given us a choice, or we could create another one. So we're going to, we want to increase all of the merchandise sales. So if I click in January here and go adjust row amounts, we have a couple of options. I'm going to start at the presently selected month, which is in effect the first month, so either one would work. And I want to increase my budget amounts by 5%. So I want my months to increase by 5% over the previous month, so I want to compound. So basically 5% growth per month, and we choose OK. And we can also increase it up by a dollar amount. So I'm going to click on June service sales. We expect to be doing a little better than this in June. I'll click adjust row amounts. Currently selected month is important in this situation. and we want to increase those amounts by $500. So you just enter the amount without the percent. That's the dollar amount indicated by the decimal 00. And I'm not going to enable compounding. But again, you could with the dollar amount as well. And okay. And there we go. $500. 1,600 plus 500 is 2,100, of course. And then we choose OK. So that's creating, reporting, and updating budgets. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.